Jellyfish, it's Tracy. I did not intend to be filming today. I intended to be doing Friday's Future Cards where you could see my playmat, so I had to like scramble around to make sure my filming setting was appropriate. So, I was actually really not intending to do this video. Like I said, today or period at all, actually, until like some other incident, some like massive incident occurred. But then a bunch of people are doing videos about women in the Magic community, and I feel like as a woman who plays Magic and as a woman YouTuber, I feel like I just wanted to like talk about it. And this is a really like, I don't really talk about like, I mean, I've talked about like issues in like the community and like things like that, but never something this, you know, social justice-y, but it is really important. I did want to like talk about it. So I'll start with like the comment that was one of just the most like ridiculous sexist comments that someone ever said to me, like period, and it just happened to relate with Magic. So this was back when I was dating my ex, and this was like right when I got into like competitive Magic. That was like about like a year ago in like July or something. And I remember it was a Saturday night like thing, and there was this guy, and he was like, oh, I also play Black White Tokens, this is when I was playing Magic. And he was like, I was like, oh, cool, like, that deck's really sweet. And he was like, let me take a look through your list. So he's looking through it, and I'm standing, and like I think actually I did talk about this in a video, it was really funny, and the guy that I was dating at the time was like standing around, and the guy who's looking through the deck looks at me, and he's like, did your boyfriend build your deck? And I was like really tired at that moment, so I was not really like fully processing like what was going on and what I was thinking. And I was like, no, I was like, I built the deck. And then I was talking to like my good friend Justin afterwards. He was like, that was a really rude comment that that guy just made to you. And so ever since then, I've been really skeptical about that guy. And like, no one has ever, I've been like really like privileged, I think, to really not have people be directly rude to me or anything like that. Like I haven't really received like any sort of like backlash for being a woman in the Magic community. Like my local game store really is just a really good environment, and like I'm not treated like any differently. I don't think that I've noticed from any of the guys there, which is really good. And I love my local game store, and I think they do a really good job of that. And so that incident happened, and I was just like, I don't feel like someone would really say that to a guy, and that just like made me really, really upset, because I was just like, you don't say something like that. I was like, I was playing Magic, you know, I've been playing for Magic for almost like, for like 4.5 years, and I got into competitive Magic, and I mean, yeah, he helped me with the deck, but when you think about how deck building works, you look at other people's deck lists, you get inspiration from the deck list. A part of my Magic community at my local game store, we have an entire page of brews where you can just post your deck list and get people's opinions on that. And that's not like a, oh, I'm a woman and I need help with the deck. It's, we're people and we deck build, and this is just how we deck build. And that's how you get better at deck building, is you get better at deck building by talking and communicating with people and looking at other people's deck lists and getting people's opinions. And that's not a, I'm a woman, it's a, this is a thing that people just do as a part of the community. It's actually really cool. It's a really cool place where people can just like post ideas, and people like can respond and be like, hey, I think this is cool, and I think this is not working, and like things like that. It's really awesome. But I think like when the one thing of like being like a woman in, you know, this is, if you are a guy, is to hear these stories, that those incidences that happen, and to be like, yeah, that's really not a cool thing. And don't dismiss those issues, because I feel like a lot of times people will just say, because they've never experienced something like that before, is, well, you're just exaggerating, it wasn't really a sexist comment, don't worry about it, I don't know why you're still not over it because it happened a year ago. And those are all those sort of comments that come from people who've never really experienced something like that before. And that's like, how can I say, like, as a, you know, as like a black person, you don't experience issues. How can I say something like that? Because I don't know, because I'm white. It's like, how can, like, I have a couple of trans friends, how can I just dismiss their issues and say like, okay, you don't experience those issues because I'm not trans? How do I have the authority and the right to say something like that? That's just not right, and we shouldn't do things like that. So I think that when these issues arise, it's a matter of like being like, okay, cool, so I've never experienced something like that before, but let me try to like you know, that classic phrase, like, you know, step into the other person's shoes and be like, okay, how did that make them feel? How did I feel if I was targeted like that? Because I think that's just really important. I think that would go to a lot of different, like, social issues. Like, one of my friends, Dimitri, who's I've featured a couple times on my channel, he is trans, and he said that he has issues going to his local game store, which isn't really, like, it's not, like, super close, and he doesn't go there a lot, but, like, he was, like, when he was going through the whole transitioning process, he had a lot of people who were having, like, issues with, you know, his pronouns, and he's not a girl, because he was born a girl. He's a guy, he's transgender, that's what it is, and it's just, like, people just not, like, understanding that, and people just using, like, you know, the wrong pronouns and using, like, their given name and, like, things like that, and it's just, like, that's just not, you know, it's just coming from a place of people just not understanding and not taking the time to try and understand those sort of things. Because these issues have been around for a while. I think it's just people just not taking the time to be like, hey, I want to, like, learn about that. I want to learn about, like, people who are, like, different. And, you know, I'm going to be a teacher, and, like, one of my things as an English teacher is, like, people think, like, oh, when you're an English teacher, you're just going to be doing books and poetry, and I'm like, yeah, we're going to do that, but then with the books that we read, we're going to be talking about a lot of, like, the social issues that come up with that. Biggest example is To Kill a Mockingbird. We're not just going to take To Kill a Mockingbird and be like, okay, we're going to talk about racism, you know, in the book. We're going to be talking about it in the big scale. That's one of the things that I want to do, because it's not an issue that just happened in the book, it's an issue that happens in real life. It's about social issues. And, about, like, basically talking about them and educating people on them and teaching them in the right way. So this video is kind of all over the place, but yeah, let me know what you guys think as calmly and politely as possible, because I know a lot of you guys out there, and I'm expecting already the really rude comments, and that's whatever, you know. It just goes back to my point, is that you just don't understand what it is when you're a person of a different group, basically. Yeah, okay, cool. Talk to you guys later. Bye.